Since February this year, Norway has seen a significant drop in the combined support for its two main political parties, Labour and the Conservatives, to below 40%, while the anti-immigration right-wing populist Progress Party has surged to 30% in the polls. This continues a trend from over the past decade, where support for Norway's two main parties has fallen steadily, and comes 10 months after the Progress Party achieved their highest ever result in Norway's September 2025 parliamentary election, which is widely seen as a referendum on the country's wealth tax. So in this video, we'll discuss the surge in support for the right-wing Progress Party and how it relates to the ongoing debates in Norway over tax and energy. If you love staying informed and want some of the best reporting on YouTube, then subscribe and ring the bell for more. Let's start with some background on Norway's politics. Along with fellow Scandinavian countries, Sweden and Denmark, Norway uses a two-block multi-party system, with parties generally falling into either a left-wing red bloc containing the Social Democrats, Socialists and Greens, or a right-wing blue bloc containing Liberals, Neoliberals and Conservatives. Since the 1940s, Norwegian politics has been dominated by the left-wing Labour Party. From 1945 to 1961, Labour had an absolute majority of parliamentary seats. Then, for the rest of the 20th century, Norway was governed by alternating bloc coalitions, led by either Labour or the Conservatives. From 2013 to 2021, Norway was governed by a Conservative Progress Party coalition, before Labour then returned in 2021, leading a minority Labour Centre Party coalition. However, under Labour Prime Minister Jonas Gahr Støre, the coalition quickly descended into chaos, marred by a host of cabinet resignations, scandals, and conflicts of interest, from plagiarism to insider trading. This didn't help Labour's polling, which was already trending downwards over the past decade, having fallen from a peak of around 40% in 2015 to around 20% now. Conversely, over the past few years, and especially since 2024, Norway's hard-right anti-immigration Progress Party has more than doubled its polling, from roughly 10 to 15% in the late 2010s to 30% now. For context, the Progress Party was originally established as a libertarian party in 1973, but began broadening its political program in 1977 after the death of its founder. In the 1980s, the party began increasing its attacks on the Norwegian welfare state, and took a tougher stance on immigration, especially of Muslims, helped by the publication of a fake letter purportedly written by a migrant, now infamously known as the Mustafa letter. Until the mid-1990s, the Progress Party did have a more moderate wing, but became increasingly populist, and by the late 90s they were an established force in Norwegian politics, regularly performing well in local and mayoral elections. The Progress Party also finished second in the 1997, 2005 and 2009 elections, behind Labour. However, despite the Progress Party's steady integration into the Norwegian political mainstream, they clearly still harbour some problematic elements. In May, Progress Party advisor Harald Hansen was forced to apologise after a leaked recording was published of comments made saying that people of Pakistani origin should, quote, preferably not have children, while, quote, successful white people should have more. This grew condemnation from Støre, who described it as pure racism, and called on the Progress Party to take action, and also forced the Progress Party's leader to distance herself, saying that the comments violated both the party's policies and basic human values, and adding there's no room for this type of racist expression. So, despite this controversy, why is the Progress Party now surging? Well, we see two big reasons for this rise in support for the right. One, the ongoing debate surrounding Norway's wealth tax, and two, the ongoing debate around energy and Norway's massive oil and gas reserves. The first reason is Norway's wealth tax. After the 2021 election, Norway's previous Labour Centre government introduced changes to Norway's long-standing wealth tax, which generated an extra 10 billion kroner of government revenue annually, but also reportedly led to record departures of investors and the super rich to low-tax countries like Switzerland. During the 2025 campaign, the Progress Party promised to scrap the tax entirely, arguing that Norway needs to be an attractive country for wealth creation, while the Conservatives pledged to reduce it. As such, the 2025 election was touted as a sort of referendum on Norway's wealth tax, and this was ultimately borne out at the ballot box, with Norway's wealthier urban areas voting more for the right bloc, and poorer rural areas voting for the left bloc. The debate over Norway's wealth tax has continued since then, and late last month, the tax commission set up by Labour's finance minister Jens Stoltenberg published its findings, recommending that the two current rates of 1% on assets over 1.7 million kroner, around £130,000, and 1.1% over 20.7 million kroner, £1.5 million, be reduced to just a single rate of between 0.25 and 0.75%. This wouldn't necessarily be a groundbreaking change, and is mainly intended to reverse the worst impacts of Norway's so-called exit tax. But it's nevertheless politically embarrassing to the Labour Party, given that they were the ones who implemented the increase during their previous term. As such, the Progress Party, which has an affluent and pro-business voter base, is likely to benefit directly from any U-turn. The second major driver of support for the Progress Party has been Norway's ongoing debate over oil and gas. Norway is one of the world's largest exporters of crude oil and natural gas, having overtaken Russia as Europe's biggest supplier of natural gas in 2022, and earning an estimated $170 billion more from oil and gas revenues than it did before the war. Under the previous Labour centre government, energy was a real source of tension, but this year, Sturre's government has pivoted hard towards drilling, approving oil and gas exploration licenses in May for 70 new locations in the North Sea, Barents Sea, and Norwegian Sea, drawing criticism from Norway's environmental agency and other left-leaning parties. Sturre has also argued that Norway needs to drop its moratorium on oil and gas projects in the Arctic and position itself as an energy lifeline for Europe amid the geopolitical turmoil caused by Trump's war in Iran. But despite Labour's newfound emphasis on Norwegian energy sovereignty, Labour is struggling to compete with the Progress Party's long-held stance in favour of oil and gas, especially given the fact that it's a clear source of disunity among the left bloc. Finally though, we should probably mention that, unlike in other European countries, rising support for Norway's Progress Party isn't primarily being driven by immigration. Of course, anti-immigration sentiment will always be a factor in some places, but given that the Progress Party is more integrated into Norway's political establishment than most other right-wing populist parties in their respective countries, and that Norway has always had a strict and highly regulated immigration policy, we think it's more the issues of tax and energy that are currently pushing voters towards the Norwegian right. Now, as you're probably aware, it's kind of impossible to avoid talking or thinking about the big players that control our world, much like the ones we've spoken about in today's video. But it's not just the government leaders that impact our day-to-day life, it's also the big companies, and how increasingly difficult it is to avoid their influence. So I bet you're wondering how you can start taking back that control. And luckily, we have a simple solution for you, and it starts with your email. While it might seem insignificant, your email is extremely personal to you, and it's important to keep hold of what's yours. And thankfully, Proton Mail will help you get that control back. It's a private, secure alternative to big companies like Google, and will give you everything you need to be productive, all while keeping those pesky ads away from your inbox. From preventing dangerous phishing attacks with their fish guard protection feature, to protecting your identity by alerting you if your email has been sold on the dark web, Proton Mail has everything you need to stay safe online. They also offer end-to-end zero-access encryption, meaning their emails truly stay private, inaccessible to advertisers, trackers, or even Proton themselves. This means your email and your information stay safe and secure. No more ads, no tracking, and no profiling, giving you back the control you deserve. Making the switch doesn't have to be a hassle. Proton Mail's Easy Switch tool allows you to move your emails and contacts from your current provider in just a few steps. You can even connect your Gmail account and receive and send messages from it directly in Proton Mail, while you transfer everything over at your own pace. So there's no pressure to switch it all at once. So start using Proton Mail for free today by using our link at proton.me/TLDR, and you'll be one step closer to a fully protected online experience, free from data exploitation.